For this lesson, I'm going to show you how to Photoshop things in using layer masks. Over here, you can see that I have different layers of objects that I have added into the photograph. By clicking them on and off, you can see this is the photograph that I started with, and then I added the tower in the background, and I added the horse in the foreground. So we're going to go ahead and do that. First thing that you need to do is open up your background layer. Then you need to open up the object that you would like to add to it. Simple click on the move tool and drag over to get them both on the same page. The next thing that we're going to do is turn off the background layer. This will allow us to simply work on this layer that we want to get rid of all of this excess. We'll also zoom in to get it to fill the screen a little bit better. And now we're going to apply a mask. So down here at the bottom, this little button right here will add a layer mask. You can see that when I hit it, this little box pops up next to it, which tells me that there's a layer mask on that. We're going to come over to the brush tool. Do not confuse the brush tool with the eraser tool. When you have a mask, you want to make sure that your foreground and background are set to black and white. If they're set to something else, all you have to do is click on this black and white and it will automatically take it to black and white. When we're applying a mask, whatever is white will show through and whatever is black will be blacked out. So I'm going to switch this so that my black is what I'm painting. And remember, we're going to use the paintbrush here, not the eraser tool. So using the paintbrush, I'm just going to come in and start blacking sections out, what I do not want seen. So I'm just going to really roughly, with the big brush, do this whole area, and then we'll come back in and get the smaller sections. Now, to do that, I think it's easiest to use the magic wand tool. So we're going to click, make sure you're on the magic wand and not the quick selection. And you can come in and just start selecting areas. Now, my background was all very similar in color, and my tolerance is set really high. So if I change this to about 20 and click again, it's going to give me that whole section. I also have contiguous unchecked. If I check it, you'll see that it's only going to get the area that's touching. If I uncheck it, it's going to take those selections in the whole entire photograph. So let's go ahead and do the whole thing. And with this selection, you're going to do edit and fill. And you want it to be your foreground color or black. You can see that my foreground color down here is black, so either one it's the same thing. So I'll go ahead and hit OK, and you'll see that that will automatically get rid of it. So I can also hit this, do the same thing, edit, fill with the foreground color, which is black. Do it again down here. If you hold the shift key, you can also do a greater selection. So I'm just holding shift as I click. One more time, edit, fill, the foreground color, okay. Command D will get rid of those dancing ants. Now we can go ahead and turn the background layer on. Double click the hand over here and we can move it around to where we want it to be. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. Command T to resize. Hit and hold the shift key. If you don't hold the shift key, you're going to get something like this and it looks really fake. So Command T and hit and hold the shift as you drag. And I'm just going to make it a little bit bigger. Go ahead and put it in place. You can double click or hit enter on the keyboard. Now I can see I have a lot of excess information. So again, we'll come in with the paintbrush and get rid of some of this. Now the paintbrush is good because if you go too far, or the masking tool is good, if you go too far like that, all you have to do is switch it and you can come back in and put all of that information back in. So it's better than just cutting it. I need to fix this little area here, so I'll go back to here, switch it, and black out that little section. All right, let's zoom into the tower and adjust the opacity. So I'm going to click on the opacity of the tower and drag this down. You can see as I drag it down, it's going to become more and more see-through, which is what I want. I want to be able to see the tower and the leaves behind it, because what we need to do is get the leaves in front of the tower so that it looks like the tower is behind the trees. To do that, we're going to click on the background layer. We're going to come over to the magic wand tool, and you're going to set your tolerance. We'll start at 50 and see how it goes. I'm going to check contiguous just to show you what it does. If I click, it's just going to select the areas that are touching. I want the whole thing, so I'm going to uncheck contiguous. When I do that, you'll see that it selects all of these. It's not nearly selecting as much as I want, so I'm actually going to bump up my tolerance to 100 and click again. Now you can see that it's selecting most of the trees. So now what we're going to do is come back to our mask layer, and we are going to make sure you're on your masking, not your actual layer. So we're over here on the mask. You're going to go edit, fill, and we're going to fill it with that foreground color, which is black. Command D will get rid of the dancing ants. We'll come back to the tower, and let's bump that fill back up to 100%. Double click the hand. Now you can see the tower is behind the trees. So let's go ahead and do the same thing with the horse. Go find the horse image. Now we don't need all of this, so right away I'm just going to go ahead and crop the section that I do need and click and drag it over here. I'm going to turn the other two layers off so that I'm just focusing on the horse. Add the mask layer. Remember, whatever's black will be blacked out, whatever's white will be shown through. So I'm going to use my paintbrush tool, and I'm going to make it a little bigger to go a little bit faster around the edges. Get rid of all the excess on the corners, and then we'll come in and get a little bit closer. So I'm going to zoom in more. We can use the magic wand tool for this as well. So if we come up to the magic wand, way too much is selected, so I'm going to lower the tolerance to maybe 20. Try it again. And that'll work. Now if you hit and hold the shift key, it's selecting more. So far so good. I can go edit, fill with the foreground, and keep going back and getting some more of this. You want to make sure that part of your horse is not selected. Edit, fill. Okay, now the rest I'm just going to do with the brush, so I'll go back to the brush and clean up the edges here. Now remember, if I take off his ear and say that I keep working and I'm not exactly sure when that happened, all you have to do is switch this back to foreground, put his ear back in, and then we can go back and fix it again. So the good thing about mask is it's not forever. You can fix anything. So very rough. I'm just going to come around here, get rid of all of this. Zoom in closer to the ear. Using the paintbrush, we'll get a smaller brush. Clean up that edge. It's still a little rough. Remember, you're using the paint, not the eraser. So I'll still just come in here, soften the edges so it looks a little bit more believable. See right here, I went too far, so I'll just switch it, put his back in, and go back to the black side. Soften this edge, and you get the idea. Actually, I have more down in the feet that I need to get rid of as well. Smaller brush. And like I said before, you get the idea. So we'll go back in and turn our layers on. Now I can move the horse around, put him where I want him. I'm going to make him a little bit smaller, Command T. Click and hold Shift to get him back there, and I'll set him up about here. Now right now my horse is in front of my fence, and I need to get him behind the fence. So again, I will zoom in, and we're going to go back to the masking tool, and we'll lower the opacity so we could see the fence and the horse at the same time. And all we're going to do is just mask that area where the fence should be. So if you click, hold Shift, and click, it'll give you a straight line. So click, hold Shift, click. Do the same thing down here. Click, hold Shift, click. Click, hold Shift, click. Now let's put the opacity back up to normal and zoom out. It's kind of rough, but you can tell that the horse is now behind the fence.